Let's get started. So, first of all, I would like to welcome everybody who got the time and interest in this webinar about the Catia and the Dassault products and how the OpenLM solution can help you to track it, monitor it, optimize, see the patterns of your usage, and eventually make your licenses more available and also, if possible, to save some on your licensing cost. My name is Michal Bundil, and I work for the OpenLM solutions team. So let's go ahead here. Well, to start things off, I would like to speak about what are the different types of licensing that the Dassault is offering to its customers. And basically, we have the DSLS on-premise license managers for Catia and other of their products. Before the version R19, they were using the IBM Loom license manager, which is also on-premise. Then they have the second license manager, which is also on-premise, but the naming convention of this license manager is misleading. It's called DSLS Cloud, but as I said, it's also the license manager which is residing on your license server, and this one is utilizing the DSLS stat utility to get the data about your license usage. Then we have the real cloud solution from Dassault. It is called DSLS managed. And from talking to our customers, we still see for the Dassault products that most of our customers are preferring to have their DSLS license manager on-premise. There are some who are using DSLS managed, but not that many. And also for the 3D Experience Cloud, which is another cloud platform from Dassault, this one is taking a step ahead right now. I don't think I heard from any of the customers that I was working with. They are already utilizing it, but many of them were telling me they are considering it. So, and for the SolidWorks, it is also the on-premise license manager, but since it was using before the FlexLM solution, so since Dassault purchased the SolidWorks, they didn't change the license manager to DSLS, and it is still utilizing FlexLM on-premise. In terms of what is supported by OpenLM right now, we are supporting all the on-premise license managers. So it's both FlexLM, DSLS, and DSLS Cloud. But the DSLS managed and 3D Experience Cloud is now under development, since our customers are going through this change from the on-premise license manager to the cloud license manager. So we won't be able to get them the data from this one as well. So they will be coming soon to OpenLM license manager portfolio. And just on the side note, price-wise, Catia are very expensive, licenses where we are looking at a very big purchase cost, but also the maintenance is not something that you want to pay if you really don't need those licenses. But this also comes to a second thing that whenever you are considering downsizing your license portfolio, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, because if you get rid of some of the licenses that you already purchased, and then in the future you might need them again, you need to pay this purchase cost as well. So you need to always consider all the factors, because the purchase price is usually 5, 6, 7 times bigger than the maintenance cost for these licenses. So you need to be aware of that. So what are the challenges when we are talking about monitoring the Catia licenses? So, well, this is the first point, is no different from any other license. You need to track your usage and your utilization. as with all the concurrent licenses, based on how well you are utilized, if you are overpaying for your licenses or if you need more licenses, basically, what is the status or what are the patterns of the usage for your licenses? This is same for Catia, SolidWorks, everything else, but since Catia and SolidWorks are so expensive, you need to keep an eye on that definitely. And then also with utilization usage, because utilization is one thing, but how are the user patterns? How are your end user using when and how the licenses? That is also basically a thing which will, in end result, will give you a clear picture on how well you are utilizing and how many licenses you will need to have a very good optimization of your licenses. Then tracking the denials, this is also, again, a no-brainer. Denials are part of everyday license lifecycle. They are happening for various reasons, whether it is not enough licenses or, these are just users who are excluded from the license managers from the machines where you have hosted licenses, or they have communications problem. Whatever is the case, OpenLM is giving you a solution where you can have a look at your denials, analyze them, know why they are happening, and then to take a corrective action. Then you need to also consider compliance. This is a very big part of all the DOSAD licenses, because you can have various usage scope for your Catia licenses, whether it is global, bi-regional, regional, or in-country licenses. And of course, the cost here is variable. So usually in bigger organizations, you will have a mix of all of those usage scopes. You want to have some global licenses, as a backup in case that your regional or in-country licenses, these license servers will have some issues, or just, depleted license pool. You always want your end users to be able to work. And then, of course, for your regions, you could have regional licenses and in-country for in-country, because they have, smaller cost than the global ones. What is, from my experience and also experience of our customers, a very big deal, solely for the Catia licenses, is that you have duplicate usage of HD2 and SD2 licenses. These two are basically very interchangeable. These are basic product licenses to run the Catia and work with it. So what we see is happening is that, engineers, whenever they are opening an application, they check the both checkboxes for HD2 and SD2. They might have some experience in the past that, one of them was not available at the time. They can easily work with another one, but, they need to restart the application. And some users, some end users see this as a nuisance. They don't want to go over it. They are fine with shareable products where they can check in and check it out on the go. But, restart of the system is something that they are bothered with. So basically they check both checkboxes, but if both of these licenses are available, they will check out both, which is, again, inflating your utilization unnecessarily and is basically costing you money. Then the next thing which I should do if I want to track and see the patterns of my users is tracking the idle time. Because, whenever your end user have checked out the license, but they are not really utilizing the application, that is, again, an unnecessary licensing cost. That license can be used by somebody else if you don't have that many, or even if you have enough. And this doesn't mean that you have, this is causing the denials of somebody who wants to work, but doesn't have opportunity to check out the license. It is, again, inflating unnecessarily your utilization. So, and when you are tracking the idle time, then you need to think about what will you do with such behavioral patterns in your organizations, because with OpenLM, you have basically several options what you can do. So when you are monitoring Catia usage with OpenLM, I'm always considering all the things that I said before as a two levels of monitoring. One is on the licensing level and one is on the application level, right? So licensing level means that we are monitoring, tracking, getting data from the license manager, and we know the session start time, end time, username of the user was utilizing it, host name, and from the log files, we have information about the denials. And from the application level, we have also information about the IP address, about the active periods and idle periods. So we know when the user was really working with the application and when the user was idle. Just really briefly, how is this working in OpenLM system? So basically you have main component, which is gathering the data, storing them in the database, and then you can view them in the web interface. And then we have these two components, sorry about this, two components. One is called OpenLM broker. That one is getting information from the license servers and from the license manager. And OpenLM agent is a second component. This one is residing on the workstation, and this one is tracking actually these idle times and the active periods. And you know, combining these two, you have all the data you need to basically analyze what is happening with your Catia licenses or SolidWorks licenses, or in the end, any licenses that you are using. So now that we know that we can track the idle time, what can you do if you have this information that somebody is idling and not really utilizing the application? Well, even just having this information is very good for any license administrator, because then you know that these behavioral patterns are really happening, so your utilization is inflated by this. But also what is OpenLM offering to you is automatic harvesting of these idle sessions with the workstation agent. So basically for Catia and SolidWorks, we have method which is called save and close. It is working through the extension, which is installed to Catia or to SolidWorks while installing the workstation agent on that end user machine. And this extension is basically saving the work before it closes the application and then closing it whenever your user is idling until your setup threshold. I will show you how to set this up on the live system. And also why you want to use the license harvesting, automatic license harvesting, especially with Catia, is that there is missing one functionality, which you, for example, in SolidWorks can utilize. OpenLM broker is communicating with OpenLM server or the SLM, and the broker, which is getting the data from the license manager and sending it to the server, can also get the commands from the OpenLM UI. And in case of FlexLM, so this is working for SolidWorks, if you have an end user who is checking out the license but not working, is getting an idle time, there is a command in FlexLM where you can remove a license from this user, right? So you see the report of currently used licenses. You see, okay, somebody is inactive for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. You can basically, in the UI, click the button to remove a license from them, and then you have it back in the pool. This functionality is not available in the SLS. Therefore, OpenLM also cannot remove a license through the UI for the Catia users. So this is where it will become very handy to have automatic license harvesting, because this is done on the application level, not on the licensing level. So basically, we are overcoming this missing functionality, which the SLS does not have. Yeah. So what are the benefits of using OpenLM together with Catia licenses. So basically, you have these 5 steps where you can check how well you are doing with your licensing. First of all, what is my utilization? What is my maximum utilization? And I can see if I have some room for license reduction. And maybe it even doesn't have to be a reduction, but what can also help you is if we are considering organizations with many DSLS license managers, and as we said before, some of them are regional, bi-regional, in country, can uplift those licenses where in one license manager, your utilization is lower, something like 50%, but one is heavily utilized. And in the case, that this heavily utilized license manager is on some in-country server, which is cheaper than the one which is not so utilized, uplifting your Catia licenses to this in-country server will also save you the money. It will increase the availability of the license. So basically, also by this, you can save on the licensing cost. Okay, so first stage, what is my utilization? What can I do with it? Okay, now when I know that I can reduce for X amount of licenses by looking license utilization, the second thing to do is look at the outliers that you have. So basically, these are too long or too short sessions. Can also help you with that because, the analysis of the license usage is one thing, but then again, if I have an outliers that are, end users who are just constantly running Catia and not closing it, even over the weekends, that is inflating your utilization. Too short sessions, again, you need to analyze why those people are even opening the Catia if they have, few minute sessions or half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour of usage time in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Are they really designers doing drawings, doing 3D models, or they are just maybe managers who are checking those drawings and 3D models, and they can utilize some sort of Visview application like in Teamcenter or any other application where you can just view the drawings and the models. So that's the second thing what you are going to do. The third step is add the idle time monitoring. This will also add another layer which will basically decrease your utilization, because somebody is having too long sessions which can be automatically harvested, or at least, if this is not your goal, at least you know that somebody is keeping open application idle. You can talk to these people, to their team leaders, managers, to avoid this behavior. And then again, your maximum utilization will go down. And if you consider all these things, now you finally have your number by how much you want to reduce your license pool. But we are now coming back to the beginning, where I was telling that, the purchase cost for the Catia or the Dassault products in general is really steep. So then basically, this is not that some application or system can do for you, but you need to do it. You need to talk to your engineering team to know what are the plans for the foreseeable future, right? Because if you are planning to get more projects, if you are planning to get more people, definitely you will need more licenses. So you need to take this to account before you reduce your license spendings, because purchasing those licenses again, or even leasing them, which is always an option, can cost you unnecessary spendings when you already do such a good analysis of what is actually your usage patterns, or where you can save the money. So let me now jump into the live system. And go ahead and share my other screen. Open and sharing. Okay, so this is my demo system. I have loaded some data from Catia, which were kindly shared to me by one of our customers. Of course, the data are anonymized, but it will show us a very good picture of what you can do with the analysis that we were talking about before. So I already preloaded some historical data. So this one is from the server, which is, I believe, bi-regional, APAC and USA. And we are now looking at the HD2 usage. Okay, so you can see from this license usage graph that we have 150 licenses in total. And my maximum usage looks pretty okay, right? It looks like on first glance that there is not a big room to decrease on my HD2 licenses because my maximum usage is 147 out of 150, even though it's outlier, which happened on one day. My average is around 135, peak average, I mean. So yeah, maybe I can reduce by very small amount, maybe 3, maybe 5 licenses. I can check the same data here on the heat map. And here I can see one thing also on the chart, but on this heat map, it's very easily visible because I can see what is my utilization during each hour. That, most of my utilization is coming between 4 o'clock European time to 3 o'clock, okay, or 4 o'clock, and then it goes down. And since this is by regional server, I can already tell, it's APAC and USA, that probably in the North America, this license manager is not utilized very well by those guys, but mostly my usage is coming from the APAC region. Okay, this chart is basically telling us the same. So, all right, I know what is my utilization, and now I will go to license activity, which is a report that will give me the sum of all the sessions that we have on these license managers. Again, I will only consider the same feature, HD2. Okay, so this is the table of all of my sessions. But what I want to see right now is basically who is using those licenses, how they are using them. So I will go to this aggregation table where I can group all these sessions, and let's first check the groups and how my groups are using the HD2. Okay, so it's confirmed what we saw in the license activity graph, that vast majority of the usage is by APAC CAT users. Then we have some usage from the USA, but then again we have Japan, India, Korea again. Some users from UK. Okay, so if this is really a bi-regional server, what I can see from this is that I have a compliance problem because these UK users shouldn't be checking out the license from this license manager. So again, it gave me another insight on what is happening with my DSLS licenses. But okay, I definitely can tell that, the usage comes from the APAC region. All right, but another thing I want to see here is how my users are using the HD2 license. Okay, so here I can see the end users who are having very little usage, and just consider I'm checking here the data for 2 months. So if somebody in 2 months opened Catia just for 5 hours, I highly doubt they are designing or drawing something. So all these end users probably shouldn't have access to the license. But also what I'm even more interested in is these users who have a very high amount of hours, right? So if you're considering 2 months time frame, that's something like 320 working hours, right? And you can see I have users who have 800, 700, 600, and so on. So I can have a look what is happening with these users. Okay, so you can just copy the username. I will keep up the same filter. And here in the users, let's just check what is happening for this one user. So now I have all the sessions from this user, and let's see by the start time. Okay. So let me get rid of this information that we don't have here, so it's not in the way. Okay, feature version. Okay, like this, better. So this user started utilizing application first day, 36 hours. Okay, that's not so bad. But what we can see here instantly is that this end user is using the same license on 2 different workstations, which might or might not be a problem. You know, this end user can maybe utilize some VM, you know, or coming to the production where they launch the application from the laptop, and you know, in the office is using the desktop. So you know, as a license administrator or team leader or somebody who is taking care of this team should know if it's okay to use the application on 2 workstations or not. No, it's not against the contract. But what we can see that there are already very long sessions, right? 72-hour long session, 47-hour long session, 13 hours, you know, 63. Here you can see 300 hours. So this end user is definitely not closing the application when the work is ended. But also what we can see from here, from the start times and end times, you know, this application is pretty much, Catia is running constantly. So in this case, the customer who sent me this data is not tracking the idle time, which is, you know, I wouldn't say bad, because, you know, from this behavioral pattern, we pretty much know what is happening right now. Either they are not closing the application or possibly maybe, you know, they are account sharing and there is one workstation running all the time with user who have access to this license running all the time, and you know, just, you know, people are changing there. This is also happening in big organizations. But if we also have information about idle time, we can say for sure, okay, you know, this application is not idling, nobody is working 24/7 for 2 months. So basically we know that they are sharing. But you know, even if not, we have our offender and we know that, you know, this is basically against the best practices of, you know, any license usage in general. Yeah. And by doing this analysis step by step, you will get all the information on how you can optimize and how you can save on the cost. And since we are running out of time, I'll just really quickly also show you one more thing that I prepared, which is basically a little bit of automatization for your license monitoring. And I set up some rules here in the alerts of OpenLM, which can basically trigger and then send you a notification or do some action on the license manager. And it is making your life as a license administrator easier, because nobody's expecting you to have the OpenLM interface open 24/7 and checking who is doing what in real life. So we have some alerts which will send you notifications, so you know that these events are happening. If your license server is not responding, for example, you will get a notification. But also what broker can do is run a command to try to start this license manager, right? So maybe it was just hanging. We sent a start command. If it started, even without your interference, you are back online, and your end user can work. Then we have one for usage percentage. So here I set up a very easy alert for my HD2 and MD2. Whenever my utilization will go beyond 90%, I will be notified. Then duplicate license usage. This one is very important, or I heard this all the time. It was also the case in my previous company where I was working. HD2s and MD2s, as I said before, checked out together. So in this case, if this will happen, I will get a notification that somebody's consuming those two licenses. Expiration days, this is very clear. Whenever my feature will be close to expiration, less than 30 days, I will get a notification. Then I will be also notified if I have some usage from users with no default group or no project. If somebody will have too long session, more than 600 minutes, I will also get a notification. Or if I will have too much denials, more than 110 minutes, I will also get a notification. So, I have the information beforehand. Okay, so this is what I want to tell you today, and feel free if you have any comments, questions. I'm very happy to answer them. So let me check Q&A tab. I don't see any questions here. Let me also open a chat. Please feel free to raise hand, type the question to the chat, type it to the QA, whatever is more convenient for you. Okay, if we don't have any questions, then I would like to thank you very much for attending this short webinar. And yeah, if you are interested in more, definitely check our other webinars. We have some of them happening every week. Or also feel free to contact us at sales@openlm.com or support@openlm.com if you have any technical related questions for sales, if you have sales related question. And yeah, I'll be happy to see you on our another webinar. Have a great day, everybody, and bye-bye.